field construction is underway, so I guess you guys not.
Can we just sit here, or is there a clicker that we can use? Would you rather us stand in the front?
Oh, yes.
We have to stand, okay.
Secure lights.
Can we just advance the slides with the arrow buttons?
I know. Some meetings like this. All of the
Maybe we
lights.
won't use that. Towards me, everyone? Maybe we don't need it at all. I can just project, you know, unless you're recording. Okay, hi, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to see this application this evening. We actually,
All of the lights on that corner.
okay. So my name's Lauren George again, and I'm with Constantine Bloom. We represent Mad Equities, the property owner at the Dollar Savings Bank,
Beautiful.
which is right across the street. So that's nice because you can see it as you exit and enter the building and envision how wonderful it's going to be.
Use the microphone, please.
Okay. Yes, sir.
60s rock and roll.
Okay, right. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Too much rock and roll? Okay, got it. So, the proposal this evening before you is a follow-up from the proposal.
Now it's working.
So, it's a follow-up from the proposal we made in 2021 via Zoom during the depths of the pandemic. And I believe it was my first time being Zoom on. That was fun. That might be why you have that intensive thing there. I know why you have that. But no, we were here tonight. We appreciate your time, and we're here back tonight because this was approved. The banking hall, which is the main bottom floor of this very iconic individual landmark right across the street from us on Grand Concourse, one of the very few individual and interior landmarks here in this part of the Bronx. So we're happy, we're very celebratory that it has been renovated. Millions of dollars have been poured into it by the team of owners, including Mad Equities and others. And it's going to be a fine fare supermarket on the ground floor. And they're also renovating the tower and searching for a fabulous tenant right now to renovate and revitalize this very important corridor. So right now, what we're here tonight to talk about is a very simple application to expand the signage that was approved during that initial application, and also to restore the clock to its previous grandeur. So that's super exciting. But because Landmarks has very particular rules about what they need to do at staff level and what they can do by the commissioners, we're simply trying to replace the back of that clock that you see there in white with plastic rather than with like leaded glass, which it was originally. So that requires the commissioners. But essentially what the team is doing is restoring the clock completely back to its original appearance, just with different materials. So that's what we're here to discuss. And just taking you through some historic photos. Again, this store and this whole half of the block has been vacant for, I think, almost 10 years now. You guys will probably know better than I the exact number of years, but it's been a really long time when the scaffolding has been up and there have been incidents of vandalism and loitering and like encampments under the scaffolding. And we're really excited that that's all going to be going away. And we're hoping to have a grand opening for the grocery store this spring sometime. And of course, you'll all be invited to that event. It'll be a big event. But this building was originally constructed in 2 stages. So it was an individual landmark designed by Adolf Mueller. And the facade is a very special polished granite linear facade in the Art Deco classical style. It's a 10-story office tower with a clock tower that we're here to talk about. That was completed in 1952. I believe it was actually 3 phases. She'll help me explain it a little better. But it was the late 30s, the 40s, and then finally the tower was completed in 1952. And the banking hall, which we presented to you before, has already been fully restored and retrofitted, right? It's a very distinctive adaptive reuse because it used to be a bank with a vault, and now it's a grocery store with another retail use. It's going to be in the basement. But we're not here to talk about that. We're just here to talk about the exterior. So you see in this photo, the historic photo, some of the signage is visible here. But this photo on the left shows you a little better the neon signage that was there, here, and also here. There were neon silver dollars. And we're looking to try to restore the similar signage in LED modern versions of neon, essentially. So on the left side here, you can see the neon that, you know, used to exist. And then when it was Immigrant Savings Bank, which is the last use that it was occupied there before Apple Savings Bank, they also had a similar round sign. So this picture on the left gives you a better sense of the neon signage and the way that it looked, and we're looking to try to replicate that. There was also a sign on the lower south-facing facade, which is also neon, and the south-facing part of the tower up above here. So essentially, we're looking to recreate in a different, you know, with different wordage in a generic fashion. This is going to be for a signage master plan. So Landmarks is actually going to be considering a signage master plan with the ramifications, the sizing, the lighting, the projection, zoning, all of that is what they're looking at, and we're seeking your approval to allow for signage for the new building. We don't know what the commercial use is going to be. It might be a dorm, it might be a large medical complex, it might be lots of other things, but we're, you know, there are active conversations right now with real commercial tenants, but right now the building is being, like I said, renovated to the full extent. So I will pass it over to my colleague Alexandra to tell you the scope of work.
Hello, good evening. I'm Alexandra with Hopkins. I introduced myself earlier. So quick overview from what Lauren said. The building is literally right across the street. You'll see the big iconic tower. It's a landmark building, and the bottom portion of the building will be we'll have the supermarket, which will be a county fair, and then the tower will have a separate tenant, as Lauren explained. Right now, there's not a specific tenant, but there will be one in the future. The whole point of tonight is we want to go over the tower and then the signage, the clock, sorry, in the tower, and the signage that we want to bring back into the building. The tower has 4 faces, and each face will have a clock, and it had white lead glass and bronze metal framing, and we're trying to replace that with modern materials to look exactly the same as it did before, but new materials to make it more durable. And the signage, it's really more of a master plan signage that we're trying to go for. We'll show some images of examples for the supermarket and then for the future tenant at the tower. So I'll start with the clock. Historically, the top of the tower had the 4 clocks. Each was made of bronze frame and dials and the white lead glass panels. Since then, all the frames have been damaged or mostly damaged, and the dials most of them are still okay, but need to be repaired, and the glass had been broken in many parts, so it's since been taken down for restoration and fabrication of what could be the new clock. Essentially, what we're trying to propose, and the proposed entails, is an aluminum sheet metal frame to replace the bronze, and then white polycarbonate. So these 2 materials are gonna be more durable, lightweight, they're gonna be more sustainable. White lead glass you can no longer find it, and it's also not environmentally friendly, so we're trying to replace that with a material that looks the same, but it's just better all around. So you can see the elevations, it literally looks the same, it will look the same as it did before, it's just modern materials. And you can see here on the top corner to the right, that was part of the frame that was left for one of the clocks, so it was very heavily damaged and needs to be restored fully.
Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Wait, I don't have to start. There. Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, the clock is very simple. It's just a replacement materials. We have to go through LPC to make sure that they can prove the replacement of the material itself, but the overall appearance will look the same as it did before.
Far better, because it's been not there for a long time.
It will look brand new. And for the signage,
Yeah, I don't know.
proposing, you can see here on the left, the historic photo. It's just a little slow.
I think she was one side back and then went side this way. Yeah. Sorry, just some technical there it goes. Use the technical.
So on the left, you can see the historic photo. Lauren went over it a little bit. You have what they call the Liberty type motifs on the bottom portion above the entrances, which are the big circular pieces. And then you have on the side of the tower, there used to be a dollar savings bank. And it was done in two phases. In the 1930s, they had a dollar savings bank sign at the bottom of the tower, of the banking hall, and then in the 1940s, it was relocated to the top of the tower. And both of these signage were just neon signage, it was illuminated signage. It did not have anything else. What we're proposing, as you can see from some of the details here, is essentially very similar. It's LED neon signage with a sheet, blue stainless steel sheet return around it to protect the illumination. So it's going to be the look is going to be the same. The lettering is going to replicate the old dollar savings bank lettering style. So it will look very similar to what it did before. Some of these, so you can see the bottom on the south facade here. This was the 1930s, and then the top was the 1940s, and we're proposing to have both locations for signage. The bottom one will be for the supermarket, and then the top one, right now in the image, it says Fine Fair, but the goal would be for the tower tenant. So this is just really for a presentation. That will not, the one at the top will not be. What was that?
I couldn't hear that. Could you repeat who's gonna change to?
We don't know yet. It'll be for the tower tenant.
Tower tenants?
Yeah, the one at the top.
So rather than sign fair, what LPC will be approving will actually say signage and just be generic, and then, once the tenant is determined, it'll be the font and the color of what's approved, but it'll say whatever that,
And the plan is the same. We're gonna be using open face LEDs, neon channel letters with a stainless steel return. And on the, I should mention, on the round lady head motifs at the bottom of the entrances of what used to be the banking hall, when that was removed, there was a lot of holes left for the signage itself. It's still there. Our plan would be to use as many of those as possible with the new signage to not interrupt the facade as the least possible. And then on the east side, so the top of the tower at the back that we have the view from Fordham, that used to be Dollar Savings Bank with the same type of signage, with the neon signage, but it then changed to the Immigrant Savings Bank, which was more of a billboard. That has been since removed for the local law 11 work that has been done on the building. And the goal would be to bring back that letter channel signage for the tower. So right now it says Fine Fair, but again, this is more for representation and not for what would it actually be. So it'll all depend on the tenant for the tower. See that? And just this will be for the clock. The keycaps will be aluminum sheet metal frame. We're going to be reusing some of the dials that are still okay to use, and it will have a white polycarbonate panel instead of white lead glass. And for the signage, as you can see, this one is more representative. It's still generic because we don't know the tower tenant.
And I wanted to note that it's going to be operating. The clock will actually work. direction,
Mhm.
north, south, east, west. So thank you so much for your time, everybody. And what we're asking for from the board is a recommendation of approval or any comments to go into landmarks. And we're looking to have that hearing at landmarks as soon as possible. April 9th, I believe, is our goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? No?
Yeah, we do have several.
Maybe we sit?
Yeah, you can sit.
Please sit
Feels so
down.
formal.
You better get real comfortable.
Uh-oh. Thank you.
Okay, I guess my first question is, are we assuming that one tenant for the tower?
We're trying to do one tenant, so Jorge Madruga from Medical said, answer. Yes, we're assuming, trying to find one tenant for the tower, and we're trying to see if it could be medical. That's the hope, but we're not sure yet. It's about 60,000 square feet.
It's 10 floors of even floor plate.
Yeah, 5,000 square foot floor plates, plus there's like some mezzanine in there.
Okay.
So if you didn't get, I know that's a lot of square footage, right? For one tenant per se. So if you had several tenants, how would that signage be placed, right?
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if it's even necessary to have that signage, right? Especially on the south side of
Yeah.
looking down the Grand Concourse.
Mm.
And like is the tower itself as a
Understood.
clock, with a working clock,
Yeah.
which is a great feature to have back to the community, seems sufficient to have without the signage. I understand that as a
Yeah.
complex, if
Yeah.
it was one big complex, it makes sense.
Understand.
So the signage master plan, I guess the answer is yes, of course. It may be broken up into like 3 or 4 tenants. I think the
Yeah,
owners
but we wouldn't
will-
have space to put more than one. I mean,
Right.
the reality is we're trying to bring, for example, Montefiore back. It's a selling point, right? If we could tell Montefiore, you could put your signage up on top as having the name of the building. So, it will still have, if somebody rents half of the building, they could put their name up there. But if we have 3 tenants, we're not gonna put 3 names up there, right? Cause
But
only one
That
really.
also brings another, question, right? Like Monty has his very specific font and logo and everything.
Mhm.
Would they want to change and adapt to this signage, right?
So we
I
have to
mean,
go
that's-
through landmarks and approve that. They would
Right,
have to
so
approve that.
These are all questions that
Sure.
you as the developer will need to have
Yep.
answered
Yeah.
and presented to the Landmark Commission,
Of course.
right? So, that's one of my questions. I think it's a beautiful restoration. I noticed on the way in, also that where the Fine Fair logo is actually there's a figure there, right? Of a woman, like an actual point
On the circular, yeah.
on the circular.
Yeah.
So, are we, and I noticed on the connections, you're putting each letter individually into the wall, or are you mounting into a particular and then mounting to the wall?
The current signage or the one that we're proposing?
The Fine Fair logo.
So it's my understanding that, it'll how it's like fine and fair, so each word would be one, and it would have one system for each word essentially.
So we plan to use the same holes that are there, and you'll still see that same, structure there. We're not touching or making any new holes to it. We're using the same original attachments to put the sign back.
Okay.
And on the signage on the top, again, it's more of a marketing tool, do we need the sign? To be honest, no. Okay, but if I for the building to, for them to be known, right? If there's multiple tenants, I do understand we're not putting multiple signs, but if we have one major tenant, we would like to have the sign.
George, let me ask you, so the sign will be the same, it's not gonna change the size if you have.
No, of course.
So what
They'll have to.
Yeah, and honestly, landmarks would have to approve the font, so the truth is that you may be correct that Monty may not want to have something that isn't their branded font, because I think the way I've seen it in other places, like if you think about a Chipotle that's in a landmark building,
Right.
it doesn't have like some big crazy sign. It has like an understated, like white and blending in type of sign.
Right.
So who knows? Like the truth is, the landmarks is going to have a lot of opinions and feelings about this,
Mhm.
and we're going to have to adjust, I think, in an iterative way to what they say. Like, you know, it's not 100% baked because we don't know the tenant yet.
Right.
So that's why it's a
No, I
master plan
understand. It's
and not.
just thoughts that
Yeah,
I
no,
had.
it's a good-
Yeah, for
questions.
sure. This is this is to have the ability, and then Landmark is really gonna tell us what to do.
And also, like, if you have several tenants, then you may not, you may choose not to put the sign up at the end of the day, even though you have the approval to do it. You know?
Right. And did landmarks? Did you have discussion with landmarks about signage above the entry of the tower? Was that a consideration at all?
Well, there's already signage. Do you want to speak to what signage is already approved for the store?
Yeah, just for the supermarket right now, we just have some banners that will be on the facade and to either side of the entrance and then right above the entrance door. And it'll just say Fine Fair. That's all that's been approved by landmarks right now.
Okay, but no signage on the tower side.
No,
Only
not
on
as of
the
right now.
on the long building. On the
Yeah, just on the
supermarket side, right?
So we did not own the tower until January of this year. And, you know, we acquired the tower, and that's how we're back to trying to figure out the tower and a tenant for the tower. We only, were the owners of the commercial condo on the base of the building, but we, since January, acquired the tower and are trying to bring it back and trying to find a tenant for it.
Any other questions?
What, the grocery store, what's the status there?
It's pretty much built out already. You know, we've passed our construction inspection, we've passed our fire alarm, plumbing, gas, all the utilities are in. We should be talking about TCO there, before the end of the month, and opening sometime by the end of April, sometime in May. That's kind of the estimate, but we'll definitely give everybody notice before that.
Any questions?
This project has been a long time coming. The building has been vacant for more than a few years, and I'm wondering, once you get your tenant, how long will the renovations in the tower take?
Got it. So we only own the building for about 4 years, I believe, you know, from my side, on the retail side, and now from January, the tower. It took a long time to find a tenant first and then do the right renovations, and then we had COVID in the middle, so, we had a lot of different things that happened. But if we found a tenant, it's probably a 6 to 8 months build out of that space. Depends who the tenant is, but it's mainly an office user. It's a pretty simple build out for us. You know, from background, we do a lot of affordable housing, a lot of construction, so we're very familiar with doing this type of work. And we'll be able to do it very quickly.
Quickly, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board members?
Regarding the signage, is it on the table to not put like maybe Grand Concourse Tower on the outside, and then on the inside, put the signs of the other tenants? Cause that's happening over in Waters Place, it's Tower 1 and Tower 2. It identifies where you have to go, if it is medical, you know that Montefiori's in that building and what floor, if in fact you have to split, instead of putting Montefiore on the outside.
That's a standard way of doing it in an office building. We have a directory in the interior, and that's already, there's a set wall for that directory in the lobby of this building. So we would bring that back and have a directory there that would show if it's 1 or 2 or 3 tenants. That'll show that who it is, yes.
But instead of putting like someone's name in Branson Market, it's the Grand Concourse, it's a
Oh.
landmark.
Yeah, just
keeping
naming
Yeah,
it,
naming
like
the
branding
building.
it.
Branding the building.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a great idea. It's a
Thank
great
you.
idea.
Makes more
Yes,
sense.
that is a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea, for sure.
What would you want to name it?
Yeah,
Let's have a
that's a-
charrette right now.
Dollar savings bank.
There you go.
Thank you.
He opened his first account there, so, you know, he would know.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I listen.
May I have the floor? Thank you so much. I am a resident of the Bronx for 70 years. So I've been here probably twice as much as everybody in this room. So, we all heard of Yankee Stadium. And Yankee Stadium was the house that Ruth built, and it never got its name changed. Shea Stadium is now changed. The Flatiron Building was originally built by some company that nobody even knows what company originally built it. The Pan Am Building is now being owned by Snoopy and his gang. They sell insurance. I forgot the name. Goes to show you. The Chrysler Building was built by Chrysler Corporation, and it still maintains that name. So therefore, Guarinos and the community being in conjunction with the idea of Yankee Stadium staying Yankee Stadium, would love to have the building be named after the original founder who proposed the building and built it, which should remain the Dollar Savings Bank. Should be up on top of that building. So we're tired of the woke generation taking away things from the past, and we want to go to the future with open arms. I am very, very excited. I had heard rumors that penthouses were gonna be built in that place. I drive with people, you know, they're not really on top of what's going on. It's fantastic to hear that Fine Fair is gonna be in there on the bottom. And they're gonna have their name not too high up, which is beautiful. But to see Montefiore's name up on top of that building would not sit well with a lot of people in this community. Okay. We would love to see it originally, like she suggested, the Grand Concourse. The Grand Concourse has its own boulevard. That building should stay or be christened the Dollar Savings Bank. That's my opinion. But I thank you for coming here and spending all this money and 4 years waiting for COVID to re-renovate that building. And it's a blessing because that will save the Fordham Road, that will push back the anti-way. Moreau College saved Jerome Avenue and Fordham Road, and people argue with me and I say no. When Moreau College opened up there, they anchored the Bronx again and were a fighting force to keep the riffraff out of our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for.
Excuse me. Hi, you said the landmarks meeting would be April 9th?
We hope so.
Okay. And then, is this just a clock, or is there like a Big Ben, a tower, like a bell behind it, or is it just for a clock?
There's no bell.
Okay. And then I believe the older generations left our historic structures to rot and collapse. The new generations are trying to move in. I find it appropriate. You're just simply putting a new sign for what's there. A tenant's not gonna move in and spend all that money to restore it if their name's not all over the side of the building. Similar to Empire State Building, the Chipotle, every store under there has a landmarks approved sign. They will jump on that, just the fact that they could put their name right on top of Fordham, right on top of the concourse for everybody to see. I think it's appropriate. Also, the master plan, does that include your windows, or is that all up to grade and code? Just the signage?
We're not applying to change the windows.
Okay.
Thank goodness most of them are good.
They are, okay.
So yeah, they're not being changed or.
And you said interior and exterior landmarks,
So
so
the only part that's interior is just the banking hall.
just the banking hall, okay.
The like granite
The
part,
murals?
that's from 33. So
Okay,
actually I have
yeah.
the dates wrong, please forgive me.
Yeah.
It was originally 33.
Yes.
And then 38 and then 52 when they finished the tower.
But the murals are protected
The murals
though,
are
right?
staying,
Okay, yes,
And they're
okay.
preserved, even though some people find them racist.
They are very offensive, yes.
They're
But
staying
I find
where
it
they are.
appropriate. I think there shouldn't be, the building's been there for left to rot. Put some lights on it, put some signs up. People know that it's open. You have Target there, you have a Chick-fil-A down the corner now. The neighborhood's changed for a reason. Time to bring it back to life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments from?
You guys have any ideas for a tenant? We're happy to hear.
Honestly, yeah.
Some
That's-
ideas.
You have some ideas? Okay,
Please, let's
great,
talk.
please.
What about a tech company?
Yeah, we'd love to.
Because
You know.
Monty is over at Fordham Plaza, you know.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why,
I mean, but
So-
again, I just want to say, I mentioned Monty not because I have them as a tenant or, you know, they were right next door and they left the neighborhood. So we were trying to bring them back, but it's not, they're not, you know, there's no way that we have something signed from them right now that says they're coming, so just to be honest.
Tech-wise, I would suggest Google. They bought up Chelsea Market. They bought up a whole bunch of land in Manhattan. Bring them up here. Get
Yeah.
those jobs. And we're in a school now where kids need those jobs. Thank you so
Would
much.
love to, yeah. would love
What
to.
about the idea of a college,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like Moreau?
The dorm.
Monroe, CUNY, love to
Fordham.
have you in there, yeah.
Uni's here.
Fordham.
Bring them out of here. I'll bring them across the street.
Yeah, exactly. Put some office space up there.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess do you need from us can you repeat what you need?
So
from
my
us?
understanding is that landmarks want, your process is really our question. So if your committee can write a letter, great. If you write a recommendation to your full board and they need to endorse it, whatever your process is, as long as that gets to LPC by like, you know, as soon as your full board is done, a couple days later, that would be great. So I think whatever that Monday is, what's the Monday? Sorry, the Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, like, why don't we say, if we could, by April 5th, that would be an ideal deadline to receive something from you guys.
Our meeting's on the 26th.
Because isn't your board meeting at the end of the month?
Yes.
So you should
Right,
have time.
so soon after that as possible would be great.
I have one
Thank you.
question. Would it be anything on the roof, like the towers anymore, or antennas or anything, or yes, you don't know? Whatever the tenant
The
needs?
main antenna that's there will still be there, we're not touching it, yeah.
That's
One more,
preserved?
sorry. There's a flag on that pole up there. Can we put a pride flag on that?
He wants a pride flag.
Yeah, I want it everywhere, especially on historic structures that have never had them before.
Alright, we're gonna move
Yeah,
on,
the-
guys.
That's thank you. You gotta mark
You
those
found a
lands.
place
Yes,
for
sir.
Flagpole is gone, that's
Oh,
the
the flagpole's
historic
gone?
photo,
Okay.
right?
I'm sorry,
The
Lauren,
historic
what
photo.
did the letter needs to say? You want to give us a brief out,
You know, the application really before LPC is it appropriate to replace this clock material with modern materials? We feel yes, like glass is heavy, glass is dangerous, if it falls on the road and breaks someone's head, that would be bad. Plastic polycarbonate is, you know, much more efficient and modern, and for lots of reasons, it's just better. And then on the signage, that's kind of more, you guys have more to decide about that, and it's your opinion, but we feel that modern signage that replaces what was historically there is appropriate. So what you're saying to landmarks is, you know, as a community, this is historically appropriate or not. That's basically it. Yeah. Yes, and of course, we can help you construct it as needed.
This doesn't include PVC. Signage.
No, no, this is not public forum.
Materials, so
Have you pursued collaborating on landmarks?
No, well, we've shared the, presentation.
Okay, so they are aware of the materials from glass to wood.
Yeah, that's why they have to do to the commission. Normally, this would be a staff level, approval, and it wouldn't go before you at all, but because of the change of materials, that has to go, and the signage is by commission level.
Because it's the, I think something maybe you want to prepare is like about how the polycarbonate
Yeah.
becomes dark because of the sun.
Oh, the clock's not only
No,
the
the
sign, the
sign.
sign.
Oh, the clock's not. Did he use to be like?
Have you explored like something like a hotel?
They have a hotel layout.
The radio
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, the radio hotel.
That's like obviously a lot more different fit out, right, like
We're talking to
bathroom.
some dorm users, some friends of water, most community has an RFP right now. We're going to, we just filled out the RFP.
Okay, I would like to move that, we have a motion to support the, new materials being used to, update and renovate the tower, and also to include the, proposed new signage that will be put up. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Well, we should second it first
Second it
and then the
first, and
questions,
then-
okay? I'll second it.
Second.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
Yeah, that's the question. In the verbiage, it says updating the tower. We're not updating the tower, we're updating the clock on the tower.
Right.
Because the new building materials and all of that is not for the tower, it's not for the building. It's simply only for the update of the clock. So I think that should say that.
I accept it, correct.
Right. Yeah, so update the forecast.
Signage.
Yeah.
to approve the new modern materials to reenact the 4 clocks in the clock tower. Part 1. Part 2 is approve the usage of the signage. That's what I know that we finished.
Of the
getting.
proposed.
Proposed. New signage for the building.
New signage. Okay. Proposed new signage on the building.
You oppose it?
Yes, sir.
Just, on the signage part, should we state that we're approving antiquated signage, not modern signage? In the, like that we approve them putting, time,
A classic sign.
We are proposing the drawings represent that style.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, sir. So, we're gonna go for a vote. Erica Sanchez votes yes.
Can you restate the motion?
Sure.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna now restate the motion.
So,
I'm sorry.
the motion on the floor is to, the board supports the use of the new materials to rehab the 4 clocks on the tower at Dollar Immigrant Savings Bank. And secondly, the board approves the proposed signage that will replicate the original signage at the Dollar Savings Bank.
Or the style
Of the style
To
of-
replicate.
sign
So, I'm gonna go for vote, we're gonna vote yes. Sandra Erickson,
Sandra Erickson votes yes.
Edgar Ramos,
Reservation checks.
Barbara Stranson.
Barbara Stranger votes yes.
I'm not sure if, Mary Jane Parafeliz is not here yet, still. Kimali Corey,
Montgomery votes yes.
okay. And Mamadou Sawoman.
Masonic vote yes.
Great, thank you, so we'll have
Thank you.
Carla
Thank you.
Pudolan. You got that idea,
I'll struggle with it.
See what he said?
Right, so, but we look, thank you again for coming and.
We'll invite you to the grand opening.
Yes, yes,
We're
please.
hoping to have a band and everything.
Okay, we're gonna go back to, business A, which is Latier Construction.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Sorry I was a little bit late, went to the wrong location. I'm just coming here to provide an update on our project, 3118 Webster Avenue. You may have seen, we started construction a couple weeks ago. This is gonna continue over the rest of the year. Into next year, we're building 108 apartments, 8-story structure,
How many units? I'm sorry.
108.
108?
Well, 109 including the supers. Just want to continue to keep the lines of communication open with the board. Previously, my colleague Matt Gross has been coming to the meetings here at the community board, but his wife had a baby, so I was called in to pinch hit. He's collecting a number of
I'm
sleepless
sorry, and
nights.
your name is?
Alejandro Ake. For that. So I'm pinch hitting for Matt today. Just in that vein of keeping lines of communication open, we had talked about sponsoring an OSHA 30 site safety training class. Happy to begin to collect CVs from folks via the community board. We're sponsoring up to 25 people to attend these classes at a location that we can kind of figure out with the community board where we'll do that. The idea is that they get their site safety certification at the end of the process. We'll continue to come here to provide new updates as construction progresses. Happy to be here. It's been a long time since I came personally here to present to the community board. So
So you're doing foundation?
yeah, we're just doing site work right now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a lot of excavation.
There's a lot of
right?
excavation going on. That is correct.
So yes, it's the side of.
Can you tell us the
204.
breakdown of the size of the apartments? Are they gonna be condominiums, one bedrooms, or
Let me see if I
larger?
have it here on my
Okay.
cheat sheet. I don't, but I will get back to you.
When will it be finished?
End of 2025. Yeah.
What's the cross street where the building is?
So it's 3118 Webster.
Is the building above 204 and
Yeah,
what's
just
the-
above 2/4.
Right.
That's correct.
And how
Oh,
is it?
we have a problem there. I live in that area.
Okay.
Your construction company, not you guys, the guys you hired to do the work behind the fence, they put the fence so close to the cut curb, people are sliding into the street. They can't balance themselves. Like old ladies
Okay.
can't go by. And I noticed that, if I can show you, Barbara, please. You got, you're like this. You got construction here, then you're sticking out here, and then you're back here again. This section here is pushing people right here into the street, because it's a cut curb for trucks.
Yeah.
And I seen the little old ladies falling in, and I'm a big guy, and I was slipping
Okay.
right into that cut curb. You gotta push that thing back.
All right. Let me follow up with that.
Yeah, you got my number, so you need
Yeah, I
to
wanted
be
to
out
ask,
there. I can be out there. I live down the block.
Thank you for
Thank you,
congratulations.
thank you. Now I know who you guys are.
Yeah.
It's affordable housing, what
It is.
program is it?
Ella.
Ella.
It's under the Ella program. That is correct.
Is Ella in supportive housing? There's supportive housing.
There's 30% set aside under the Ella, and then the remaining is AMI between 40 up to 80%. And just to clarify one point, we are the developers, Urban Builders Collaborative, but we are associated with a construction company, Tier Construction, so we're going directly to the source to bring up what
Thank
you just
you.
observed.
And you also manage your own?
Some of them we do.
Yeah.
A lot we just hire outside property management
And
firms.
did you get a tax abatement here? Got it.
We did. I don't have the specifics. I'll get back to you.
Okay, you said 30% would be supportive, and then the rest?
30% would be for formerly homeless.
And then the rest would be open to
Would
affordable?
hold between 40 and up to 80.
Any parking?
Not by law.
I know, but that's.
The train's right there, the
So
train.
many new buildings going up.
There used to be parking.
Yeah, that used to be a
That's
parking.
right, yeah, we wish you had
There
put
was
in a
a
garage.
yeah.
That would've been, we would've been top dog in the neighborhood. Over Strands and everybody else. If you put in parking.
Me?
Agent?
Oh yeah, this is the corner of 204th and Webster. It used to be a parking lot, like 2 private houses. I would say if you guys can do somewhat LGBTQ or veterans housing, that whole corner has so much supportive housing compared to other community boards. Everything on 7 gets dropped on that specific corner. But you recently put up the green. There's been a lot of graffiti. I would say if you guys could put some art on that, because that's just a prime area, especially with Bronx Park right there, to get tagged. Parking's overrated. Parking is a privilege, not a right. Housing is a right. I think there should be more apartments instead of parking. You can put your car somewhere else. It's a private problem. People need places to live. There's a housing crisis going on in the city. I just wish that there was more apartments for people from the neighborhood. And I believe community preference went down from 50 to like 20 or 15. Is that you guys as well? From the board? Yeah.
If I can just say something.
Community
I
preference?
think that was, that.
A lawsuit happened.
Courts,
Yeah.
I don't think they're allowed to do set-asides anymore.
No, but what portion of this would be set aside? 15, 20%?
What he's saying, 30% for formerly.
No, but for community preference, is it going to be Housing Connect? Because Housing Connect, it used to be 50%, then it went down from a lawsuit, I want to say, to 13 or 20. It was in one of the recent board emails, then it went down again to 15.
We could get back to you.
But yeah, just so that the community that's actually here now doesn't get forced out with these apartments, that we get some of them as well. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm gonna find that out.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was Miss Carla, maybe? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it dropped down from 50. Yes, ma'am.
15 is dropping.
So 108 apartments, 15% for the neighborhoods. Anybody can do math really quick? This was like 4.
Okay, but this, okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
just to be clear, what you're talking about, AJ, doesn't come into effect until 2029.
When does this building go live?
25.
25. So 50% will be for the neighborhood or no? Okay.
So the current stipulations that HPD has will be in effect for if they
For
go
this
to
one.
housing company.
Okay.
But what AJ is referring to that there was a big battle in the courts.
Yeah.
Right, about the community set aside from 50% that was given to community board, to the preference to the community board. After April 30th, 2029, that will be 15%.
So 15% from future developments, because this one, okay,
Yep.
that wasn't retroactively done. So anything going online would now be 15 instead of 50. Because same with like 421A, 421A expired, it ended.
See Housing Connect marketing,
Okay, because from my understanding, when the court says something, that automatically happens.
I think that
But yeah,
as of,
definitely. If you could look into it, please.
If on the date that the court has effective,
Yeah.
up to April
Okay.
30, 2029, it will be 20%.
Yeah.
And after that, it will be
Okay.
15%.
Thank you so much.
From the court, right?
I'm the only one that read the email. Effective. Okay.
at some point they'll raise a date.
If the board could look into that, because a lot of the apartments should be coming live soon, and if the neighborhood's not getting it, I think that's a robbed opportunity for us, and I think that there should be a little bit more like, not like panic towards that, because that's way less apartments for the actual residents of the neighborhood, and that's just gonna open it up to everybody. Not that we should gatekeep the neighborhood, but like people here are getting kicked out of apartments for these new developments to come, and there's nothing for them to eventually go to, especially like a 2-bedroom or a family. Everything mostly is a 1-bedroom tiny apartment. I'm just coming out of a dorm. I don't want to move back into one. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, thank you, AJ.
You have a question?
Thank you. And could I just story on that as well, what I had
A little louder.
on the lowering of the threshold for the community board residents, and what I had was that according to HPT, the threshold will drop to 20% until May 1st, 2029, and then further decrease to 15% thereafter. And I did have one other question, though. I did speak to a couple of residents, but it was in relation to new developments, like on the other side of Webster, where the scaffolding is up, and they did cite safety concerns and the lack of lighting underneath the scaffolding. It's very dark going through there, so it was just maybe a question as to whether, you guys, if you do erect scaffolding on the other side, if you will put in lighting just to keep the residents.
Yeah, let me follow up, because I mean, we typically light all our sites, very well, and make sure that there's no issue. I'll follow up.
But thank you, Alejandro.
No, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And keep coming back to the board. We'll
Yes.
keep us informed.
Well, I'll come back to bother you guys about the resumes, because we
Yes,
really
please,
don't
yes,
have
please.
to forward with this
Yeah.
class.
Oh, sure.
If you can have, I don't know if you have a flyer or something that you could
I
share
can
with
help,
Carla,
yeah.
and
Sure.
then she usually sends it
Okay,
on a big
we'll put
newsletter.
one together.
And is there an age restriction for that? I know some OSHA programs, they cater to younger.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, moving on. CD7, year 25, capital and discuss budget priorities. There's a link on the agenda. I think that basically we just want everyone to kind of take a look at the responses that we received from the agencies so that we can address them with either the city, with elected officials or with agencies to see if we have the budget for that, for those items.
For the last few years, we have asked for housing in which somebody in the neighborhood could invest in their homes. We thought it would be good to have a good mixture of income levels. And we seem to be getting nowhere with that. Is there any way that we could get our electeds to help us out? Because I think the neighborhood would needs a better balance. I mean, if you go along the strip on Webster Avenue, most of those buildings going up from just below 2 Street up to Doug Hill and all are, subsidized housing, and, you know, that's fine, but, we need a better balance, is what I'm
So,
saying.
here we what was, I'm sorry, Barbara, what's presented here, we said, 40 to 80% A&R, so it's a little better than just 60. This 80% is, probably.
40 to 80%.
40 to 80%.
We're looking for, the ability for people to purchase. And I think we don't really have that. We have a few co-ops in the neighborhood, but a lot of this new housing, we need a better mix so that, you know, people coming in could purchase their home.
Yeah, we really need to talk to, our council persons about that. I know there's some council members who are pushing for that in their districts, maybe not C7, but, we need to kind of like rally them up and, you know.
What can be done, because in other boards, we're doing 23 co-ops, affordable, and 7 two-family homes, formerly city owned homes, in about 4 different community boards, but not.
No, I mean, we need, affordable investment.
Yes.
Definitely. Yes, sir.
Two things. One is, I thought the borough president announced that program, the one you were talking about. I know it started in Soundview, but they expect it to be all around the Bronx as far as, building, you know, having the people invest in the building and actually have property that's owned, not just rented or leased. So I think it's up and coming. It's a starting project, and it is in the borough. It's just a matter of it getting to all the different places. And then the other question was, I know when they did the Hochul did the budget release at Bronx Community College. One of the topics we were discussing was the problem with the AMI, right? Because a lot of these buildings, they're using the federal AMI, which basically prices out 90% of the people in the Bronx. They say it's 40% AMI, not letting you know that it's the $90,000 AMI, not the $35,000 AMI that the community legitimately has. Which AMI does that project cover?
But, I mean, HPD is constantly updating their fact sheet, you know, for their,
Right, but the problem is they're using state numbers, right, because these are federal programs, and they're using local numbers. We built 2 buildings in Vanessa Gibson's area, because she fought for them, right? They were considered super low income, because all these buildings, they're building all the way from, Mott Haven all the way up. They all say affordable housing on the project, but it's affordable housing, 40% AMI of a $90,000 number. Meanwhile, the real AMI, as discussed by the borough president's office and the city officials, is anywhere between 19 and 35,000. And that's a big difference.
Do you need to buy a home?
No, I'm saying as far as when they promote the rentals, when they say, oh, this building's gonna be built, you know, they're building all of the end of the Grand Concourse on 138th Street. And they all have big signs, affordable housing, right? But it's not theoretically affordable for those that live in those neighborhoods, because the AMI that they're using is a threshold, right? It's a 40% AMI, 50% AMI. But they're using the federal number, which is somewhere between, I forget what the number is now, I know it was somewhere between $92,000 and $93,000, right? So the people that live in that neighborhood, their actual AMI is anywhere, you know, like Mott Haven, the area that was down there was between 19 and 21, because there's a lot of people that are on public assistance in the projects, and a lot of people on social security. So the AMI is very low in that area, but then they're gonna put buildings where someone making $19,000 a year doesn't even make enough in a year to pay the rent for a year.
They can't even apply.
Right.
Housing plan, you can't apply.
Oh, well, they, you know, if it's $2,000 for a studio apartment, and I'm only making 19,000, I don't have 24,000 to pay the rent, or buy food, or pay the light, or do
Yeah.
anything like that. So that's what I'm saying, those, when they announce those projects as affordable housing, I think they actually should be affordable to those in the neighborhood, not to those that they wanna bring in.
The AMI numbers don't go by small neighborhoods,
Yeah.
they go by larger. But we can, for
And-
next meeting,
and-
I'll get some information together and do a little.
Yeah,
report
can I
on
come in
it,
there?
okay?
Yeah. Since I'm in this business, I know as a realtor how these things also works. What they're doing, the city is doing is they're creating working Section 8 for some of these people, so that their income is low. Based on that, they can the city can factor some of the the rent, so they can pay for certain amount. So that's why nowadays when you have people applying for apartments, you see people making 40, 50,000 and they still have Section 8. So as compared to before, when you
Yes.
have to you will be unemployed in order to get it. So I understand where he's coming from. At the same time, the rent is going high everywhere. So you can just look at one neighborhood and say the because of their AMI, you gotta make the price lower also to certain levels. So because everything is getting expensive. So the programs that the city is offering now, if anybody who is not able to pay for the rent, you can apply for these programs, and then you can be working, and they will factor that, and then they will calculate how you will be able to pay these rents based on the assistance you're getting.
Yeah, we'll definitely, in the ninth, we'll have a discussion on AMIs.
Yeah, that's a good topic. We will bring that up to the next meeting. All right, moving on.
Oh, wait, for the budget really quick. The definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I suggest once again to rewrite and redo the request, add context, articles, metadata, and substance. Otherwise, you're gonna just keep getting no funding or contact us directly, giving the impression that the board is doing the bare minimum, just passing along the same budget over and over and over that they've told no to numerous times. So give them the evidence and documentation to confront and showcase the issues instead of just one or two brief sentences. Thank you.
So the Department of City Planning, any updates? Steve?
Not really, other than invite you to register for the info sessions that we're doing for the third part of the amendments of the City of Yes. Just a reminder that the third one is the City for Housing Opportunity. The following info session is on March 27th. You can register in the webpage of the Department of City Planning. If you just type in Department of City Planning in Google, you can get in there and register for the online info session. The second one and last one, well, not the second one, sorry. The following one and last one would be April 17th. So I just said 2 dates, sorry. March 27th and April 17th are the following two info sessions of the Housing Opportunity Text Amendment. After that, I'll be coming back to you guys and present as I did for the other two amendments, but that's in the future.
So is it called City of Yes for Housing? Is that?
For housing opportunity.
For housing
Yeah.
opportunity.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay, well, keep me on here. Thank you.
Thank you. I also see that there was an announcement here that you had Timmy Brook daylighting easement acquisition hearing. That's coming up on April 18, 2024 at 5 p.m. at 211 East 203rd Street. Right? And then the upcoming.
Wait, can you repeat that? Who's presenting?
Department of Environmental Protection.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also, that's from DEP, not from city plan.
Yeah.
It's just if you was a Euro, so I decided.
Okay. It's a ULURP from DEP.
Yes.
Not city plan. Thank you. Moving on, HPD, and anyone from HPD? No. EDC.
I do have a quick update besides the Kingsbridge one. So tomorrow, we're not leading this. This is DOT led, but EDC is involved. This is DOT, Parks, and EDC. The Harlem River Greenway conversations, right, from Van Cortlandt all the way to Randall's. Tomorrow is the first, I think, in-person workshop at Bronx Community College. I will be there, so if you're there, say hi. But wanted to flag that those workshops are happening in person.
At the Bronx Community.
Bronx Community College.
And what time is that?
I'll tell you right now. Yes, 6 to 8 at Bronx Community College. Tomorrow, the 13th.
There would also be a virtual option too.
Yeah, tomorrow's for the in-person one.
And what is the title of the workshop?
So the project is the Harlem River Greenway, and it's being led by DOT in partnership with Parks and EDC.
And you mentioned that it extends from Vancouver, from where?
So the whole Harlem River Greenway will ideally go from Van Cortlandt all the way to Randall's Island, but tomorrow's section is from Van Cortlandt to, I don't remember where. They split it up into 3 sections. So tomorrow's for the northern part, so the part that is up in this community board.
Can you just ask how's the RFP going?
For Kingsbridge. Well, I have a whole presentation shortly.
Well, now it's your turn.
Okay, so I'll stand up and click away.
You have the floor.
Yes. Kingsbridge. I had a nice little break. Sort of, not really. Awesome. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So, just wanted to come to the community board. Thank you all for inviting us. When I say us, EDC, to talk about Kingsbridge. So, RFP outreach. So, when the RFP was released September 18, till when responses came in, we had an info session where we had almost 200 people attend. We had 168 individuals attend our info session, so that was great. Post releasing the RFP, when we held our general tours for those that were interested, we had 159 entities come out to tour the Kingsbridge Armory. And prior to releasing the RFP during the summer, while we were doing those tours, we had about 90 entities come out and tour. When I say 90, that does not include the over 500 community people that we had come out during the engagement process. During the RFP process, we also had a section on our website where community organizations who were interested in partnering or having space in the potential redevelopment of the Armory could sign up. And we had about 65 community board organizations, not community board, sorry, community-based organizations. That would be the whole city. We had 64 community-based organizations express interest. And I would say more than half of those were in the neighborhood, and about 80% of those were Bronx-based. We had a few Harlemites trying to show interest. We also had a section for emerging developers to sign up as interest in being part of a project. We had about 26 emerging developers who registered. We also have had other initiatives, so anybody here knows or plays Minecraft?
Say that again.
Minecraft.
Mind builders?
Digital
Lego.
That's that different.
It's a way different generation, but the Department of Education.
Director sets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lego blocks. Yeah.
Yeah, the Department of Education, as of last year, started an annual competition with schools across the city, a Minecraft competition. And this year, we have students all over the city using the Kingsbridge Armory as their competition. I don't know. But so they have until later this year in the spring, they'll announce the winner. So I think sometime in May, the finalists will get a tour of the armory. So that's exciting to see students all over New York City from, I think, grades, I forget what the grade level is. I want to say fifth to 8th grade, or it might be 8th graders to 7th graders, I forget. But we have students all over the city looking and creating ideas for the Kingsbridge Armory, which is exciting. We also had Congressmember Espaillat was really insistent when he met with Columbia's new president, and he had the School of Architecture, Planning and Preservation do a studio course called Extreme Scale on the Kingsbridge Armory last semester, and they're hoping now in the spring to do a public kind of exhibition on the proposals or ideas that the students came up with. So that was great, again, just to continue to have people all over the city talking about the Kingsbridge Armory. And other key outreach that we've done with students, we had, I mentioned Columbia University, but we also had Fordham University during their, I forget what their summer program is called, Splash into, or I don't know, I'm butchering it. But they came through to the Kingsbridge Armory. We also had the College of Mount St. Vincent business students come out into the Armory. We also had City College CUNY, who many of you might have saw the wonderful models they created last year around vertical farming potential in the Armory. And we also had students from Cornell. So we had a lot of great, interest in academia using the Kingsbridge Armory as a case study and studio for some of their courses. So that was great to see. In terms of funding, you are all probably aware that in August, right before we released the RFP, we were able to secure $100 million from the state. Previously, there was over $100 million allocated towards the Kingsbridge Armory from the state in the form of a loan to a potential developer. And so we were able to, we didn't get the 100 and whatever it was originally, but we were able to get $100 million secured as a grant, right? So not a loan that no one has to pay back, which is significant. And then we were able to secure $100 million commitment from the city, from Mayor Adams. So most of you were at that ceremony in August. We also do have $12 million that was allocated by Councilmember Virginia Sanchez and Speaker Adams for the Kingsbridge Armory. So we have about $212 million in potential funding for redevelopment. And one point I do want to make is we had applied for some federal funding. Unfortunately, we did not get it, but we're continuing to pursue opportunities around acquiring federal funding. We don't expect to get more than $50 million in additional funding for the project, but any additional funding that we can get for the Armory is significant. So we will continue to, when we have identified federal funding opportunities, we will obviously reach out to the community board for letters of recommendation. And then just in terms of next steps, I know you guys are gonna ask me how many responses, what can I tell you? I cannot say anything. And that is because we're in a procurement process, right? I don't know who here is talking with who and who's reached out. So all I can say is that we have been very satisfied with the amount of proposals that have come in. It's a very diplomatic answer. But there was a tremendous outreach done, not just for the vision plan, but for the RFP itself. We were on several real estate and commercial, publications. My president, Andrew Gimbal, and our president's team was out having we had over 25 speaking events in which they, advertised for the Kingsbridge Armory. We had articles come out on major publications, right, about the Kingsbridge Armory. So tremendous outreach that went into both the vision plan, but also promoting the RFP. So we were very happy to see that. Just to give you a general sense, so responses came in January 18th. And so we hope to we are in the process of reviewing those proposals. and we hope to make a selection by end of year. What happens in this year is we receive the proposals, we go back, ask questions, they send us answers, we go back and ask more questions, they send us answers, we schedule interviews with folks, we come back, there's a lot of back and forth, and this is a negotiation, right? At the end of the day, we are negotiating the best deal for the city and for the community. And then at some point, we will make a selection, right? And we're hoping to do that before the end of the year. So it seems long, but it's a massive project, right? And so there's a lot of things that we need to ensure, because this is the third time that we're at this table. And then following that, just to give you a sense of what comes after a developer is selected, this project will obviously have to go through ULURP and environmental review, which are both required for this project. And in both ULURP and environmental review, there will be public hearings, right? So there will be moments where residents, interested parties can go to these public hearings and these workshops that will be had during the ULURP and environmental review process, which will probably be in 2025, 2026, right? Since we hope to make a selection, announce a developer by the end of the year. Just to give you a sense, there's always the question of who is the selection committee. We cannot disclose. It is EDC, our real estate team is leading that effort. But there are trustworthy people on the committee. So that is all I can say on RFP process. Any questions not related to RFP, but amount of responses we received? Yes.
AJ.
I asked the bank people, pride flag on the armory, can we get on that, or who do I have to call for that?
Yeah, I think you guys have reached out about that before, right? One thing I did want to add is HBO's finally out. They took forever, but they're out. So we, in the meantime, while this redevelopment is happening, we will continue to allow for short-term uses of the armory, right? To continue to activate it and create revenue for the city. So whether it's film or different kinds of uses inside the armory, as permittable. So HBO's out, but we might have another film. None has come forward, but just to give you all a sense, in the coming years, until construction is complete or until construction happens, we will continue to try to activate the space. And so we can definitely look into a potential flag location. We obviously can't, put a pole in the building, so we would have to see if I don't know if there's an existing flag.
They put a rocket ship in there one time, didn't they?
A what?
Didn't they have a rocket ship in there for when they built the bombs and stuff? So
Maybe.
we could put a flagpole in this.
Yeah, so we can see maybe in the somewhere, maybe on the fence or something,
Yeah.
but yeah, we can.
Because I gave the board a whole presentation about doing it for the veterans, and it's the armory. It's no place more veteran than that. But thank you so much.
Yeah, and I know we've also heard interest from folks of maybe having along the fence. I know last year we had the art installation by Northwest Bronx. So we can talk about, potentially what we can do around the fence in the meantime, right? Is there a community wall where we can put, different flags, LGBT, different flags throughout the year? If that's something the community board is interested, I can
Because I think it would be a great
as
place.
management.
As Americans, everybody fought for that. Everybody built that armory, and I think everybody should share it and be shown on it. I'll stop now. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Syria?
I'll follow up.
Yeah, when I saw the 5 colleges' names there, not only did I jump, I leaped to the conclusion that they were gonna be throwing their hat in the ring to get claim of the armory. I assume that was not the deal with the 5 colleges?
Cannot disclose.
Oh!
I cannot
You know what he's
disclose.
telling you, folks.
All I'm saying is I cannot
There
disclose
may be a college flag
any
flying on that building.
information of potential respondents.
That would be beautiful. Now, okay, I'm in that neighborhood too, because in my younger days, I used to go to the armory, and when they had they used to have fairs in there.
Yeah,
So we used to go in there, and they had like a carnival and stuff back in the day. I'm talking about 72 or so. So I'm looking forward to anything that they can do with that building.
Yeah.
So God bless everybody who's been working on it. So my hat's off to them. So it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, one thing I will say, right, is just like we allow for certain films, short-term uses like filming to happen in there. it's not, you know, a festival or something of that nature could happen. I think last year at some point someone wanted to do a rodeo. Those things are allowed. They just have to meet certain, you know, insurance requirements, right? And you know, a big issue that we've seen throughout the city is when we have these kind of events, how it affects the neighborhood, right? Circulation, traffic, parking. So they have to come forward with those kinds of plans, right? So they are allowed, they just have to go through a stringent process.
But my main question should have been was, I'm sorry, I deviated off. What's going to happen to all of our community vendors that are really living off of selling things on the strip of the Armory? Those people have been destroyed by COVID, and they have no resources but to do like neighborhood flea markets. And I would hate for them to be uprooted and kicked to the side. There should be some kind of people's plaza for them to enjoy at the Armory. Fordham Plaza, there you go. She wants to ship them all to Fordham. I want them in Armory.
So what I will say on the street vendors, which is what I'm assuming you're referring to, is during the engagement process, you know, we met several times with the street vendors. I offered 2 tours. I had over 80 street vendors come into the Kingsbridge Armory for the first time, right? They were able to see what's on the other side of the fence. We met with them. You know, we had the Street Vendor Project, which is a citywide organization that does a lot of work with the street vendors as part of our community working group. So we've made it a very intentional part of our engagement plan to meet with the street vendors. I still walk by, I know a lot of them and a lot of their drama that they have internally within themselves. So that is reflected in the engagement plan in Together for Kingsbridge, right? And so something that we are looking for throughout from all of the proposals is how are you responding to the Together for Kingsbridge vision plan, which includes the street vendors, right? So everyone will have different opinions, but those are some of the questions that in this process we will continue to ask, right? What is the plan? How are you accommodating these individuals, not just in potential space, but also during construction, right? Some of them might choose not to go into the Armory. Maybe, I don't know, there might not be a possibility where they are allowed in the Armory in terms of having space, but the idea is how are you mitigating the impact to street vendors, right? So that is one of the questions that we are asking all respondents, and that is something that we have baked in the Together for Kingsbridge vision plan.
So when you make a selection, you will present one proposal through the ULIP process?
Correct.
Okay.
When a developer is selected, there will be the winner.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for the presentation, Nico. Without mentioning any names of who's responded or whatever, could you say if the majority of the respondents have proposed a multi-use project versus a single-use project?
I cannot disclose. What I will say is that we were very happy to see, which is why we did the process the way that we did, right? The Together for Kingsbridge vision plan, it was appended to the RFP. And so the respondents had to respond to the vision plan, right? So whatever's in the vision plan has hopefully made its way into the responses. I think that's as much as I can say. But yes, that's all I can say.
Since it's a huge structure, is there a possibility that more than one developer would go through the ULERP process?
Well, in the development world, you know, there can be, let's say, a coalition of developers who came together, but ultimately, whoever is selected, it could be a team or it could be one person, right? It depends on the proposal. So there could be a proposal by just one developer who submitted, or there could be a proposal that is made up of several developers, right? So it can vary.
They have different floors and, you know, it's ideal for more than one developer.
Yeah, but usually, you know, it wouldn't be like individual developers, they would have all came together and formed a group.
Before.
Yeah, so it's a possibility that you could have several developers in a project proposal. Any other questions? Awesome. That's all I can share.
Thank you, really.
Thank you, Fernando. Okay, moving on with the agenda, the Department of Buildings, Commission of Human Rights, not relevant either. And then announcements, I think we have gone through several announcements already about the HPD, affordability, right, the reference to the community court, the workshops. And then we also received another document about the brownfield cleanup program at 330 West Border.
What was that about? The cleanup?
Cleanup program, the brownfield cleanup program at 330 West Border. And I think that's all about announcements. The next meeting day will be April 9, 2024. And the discussion on the next agenda, we talked about the AMI discussion, and we were gonna have TBC talk about the RFP responses, but we already did that, so we'll find some other topics. Yeah, we're probably gonna be hearing about the city of Yes. Yes, Any questions or comments, Serial?
Yes, being that I'm part of the Northwest Bronx Merchants Association, I have a major problem with the property located. I had sent many emails about it at 203rd Street and Webster Avenue. I was hoping the DOB was here. They put up scaffolding and they're not maintaining it with a green, pure wall. There's supposed to be no posting. It's not even secure properly. It swings with the wind and it's dangerous. And they came out and inspected and said it's A-okay. I don't think so. I'm out there every day passing it by. It is totally scarred with vandalized graffiti. And I have no, and the papers hanging on it, they have all blank names of who got the permits. So I'm at a loss here.
What I do in this case is, who owns the locker room? Do you ever call them? That's where I get my results.
Say that again a little louder.
Okay, so
Sorry.
they'll say,
No, that's
ABC
missing.
scaffold. That's what I do, because I have that a lot. And I call them up and I say, look.
No, there's
that
no,
garbage room.
all the identifications are gone.
Just like a little metal sign
No.
on it.
No, they use reusable crappy stuff.
But this is a 203rd and Webster, that's the building.
That's that
in
huge
construction.
gasoline station.
The old Sam's property?
No, they're okay. Well, they got graffiti too, but this one is worse.
Where is it?
This is a gasoline station.
Just north of Sam's.
No, it's right there, dead 203rd.
West side, Webster.
Yeah, the other side is 203rd where DEP is. This side is it ends, the dead end. It's all Webster.
Yeah.
And it just goes.
Yeah.
And it is really, it creates a major problem for me to maintain the graffiti removal for my business strip, because the kids see that and they tag alongside the business strips. So I've been really even before COVID, I've been complaining about that location. I don't know if this.
Whoever took out the permit to put up the scaffold, that would be the name of the company, but they move. When I tell them to do something, they move because they don't
Well,
want.
can you then call them up and tell them? They see the move to you?
No,
Because I don't
because
see any names
No,
there.
because I'm calling where the sign is on the wood, the shed. That's where I'm calling.
I have not observed any
If
sign.
not, we can also go
Site visit,
on that.
yeah.
Or not.
Somebody's gotta know who put that scaffold.
Who's the developer there?
No sign. Keep going over that same.
It's just a green fact.
What part of there's no signs don't you understand?
Okay, now that's not nice.
I know, but that's what happens.
You had to
when
repeat it
I-
like 4 times though.
When I have panic attacks and you wonder why. I keep saying it, but it just doesn't hit the point. If I saw a sign, don't you think of me, who called personally?
But Carl, if you could go to DOB, it says.
I go to their offices and jump up and down.
Yeah, DOB has, cause people have to file to put up a shed, so somebody filed that.
Well, let me be real nice. I went to the DOP office on Arthur Avenue late at night. They said they're open to 7:30. The guy said you gotta go, you can't just come in there and complain about it. You gotta go to 311.
Okay, then we'll.
So I did go to them, and luckily I wasn't in one of my Italian moods, so I just walked out.
Okay, we'll try that.
So, can you reach out to Carla about it and she can maybe,
I'll
311.
send everything, and I appreciate the time and effort you're putting into this.
How about that other location you said there were cars parked on the sidewalk, did that
That's
improve?
By the hotel.
That's the
Yep.
United States Marines, so they have jurisdiction.
Okay, oh, I didn't know that. Someone raised.
I found out the hard way when the MPs came up to me.
Oh.
So. Thank God I was a civilian.
Do you know, is that within the Bainbridge corridor?
A little out of my brother.
Is that within the Bainbridge corridor?
No.
The Bainbridge no, what?
It's outside of it.
Technically it is.
Technically it
It's
is.
on the Webster part of that
It's on
corridor.
Webster Street. Can you email that so I can take a look at it and see if we can find something?
It is during your corridor.
Yeah.
Well, they're not West London, because you're the bid. But yeah, definitely it is. It's on that side,
Oh,
yes.
what's
I'm sorry.
Fernando's last name from EDC?
alright, motion to adjourn?
Motion to
There you
adjourn.
go.
Second. All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Let me go back to my deathbed.